Live from Music Row, this is the nation's #1 show for the family caregiver. This is Peter Rosenberger. Welcome to the show. This is Hope for the Caregiver. We're bringing hope, help, and a little bit of laughter to America's 65 million caregivers who are struggling to help someone who needs it. But how do you help the ones who help? That's what we're about here. And if you want to be on the show, the number is 877-655-6755. 877-655-6755. And I was getting a really funny look from the booth. Well, that's pretty normal, but I was liking the theme song so much I wanted just to hear the theme song. And speaking of that funny look, the guy that was looking at me, he is, you know him, you love him. He's the Baron of the Board, the Sultan of the Sound, the Earl of Engineering, the man who put the word care into intensive care unit. He is John Butler, the mighty disco, everyone.
Intensive care unit? Oh. Well, so my daughter is named Kerrigan. And I have a nickname for her.
There you go.
Yeah, I have a nickname for her. Carabiner.
Carabiner?
Yeah.
Well, that'll work out.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, John.
How you doing, buddy?
Today's a big day. 5 years ago today, on May 13th, 2013, I heard those words echoing through my headphones between the glass that separates us gratefully from you are so.
Well, you don't want any more funny looks going your way, right?
Well, you are so well protected in there, and you said, "Hey, dude, the mic's on. Start talking."
Yes.
And this show started 5 years ago today.
5 years ago
today.
Did
you realize this today was
I didn't
our
know it was
anniversary?
today. No, I had no idea.
On May 13th.
May 13th. Right on. Well, happy anniversary,
5
Peter.
years, John. And they said it wouldn't last.
Well, I mean.
We said it wouldn't last.
We said it wouldn't. Yeah.
It's I'll never forget that first show, and I was somewhat nervous about doing the show because I'd been doing radio for about 8 months prior to that, but nothing like this show and this station. And
with John,
and you looked at me kind of with that eyebrow raised up and thinking, okay, what is this guy about? And we got through a couple of shows, and you gave me some pointers, and then everything changed about, I guess it was about 6 weeks into the show, when I just started looking at you through the glass, and we started having a conversation, and you had not been an integral part of any other show you've produced, and you've produced hundreds.
I just make the things. I just make the needles move, man. That's
And all of a sudden, you stepped into this,
and then some.
And you've been wiping your shoe ever since. But no, you did, and it's been a lot of fun. 5 years.
And back at you. It has been a lot of fun.
5 years, John. We've been doing this.
You'd think we'd get better at it.
I think that ship has sailed.
I mean, come on.
It has left the port. But we are having more fun at it. Than
absolutely.
Because I remember being pretty nervous when I first started this.
Well, we've got a couple more stations now, too.
23.
A couple. Yeah.
And they're growing. And it's very exciting. So we've added a lot of things. We also stream the show on Facebook Live. If you want to follow along, go to Hope for the Caregiver on Facebook. And you can also follow us at Twitter at Hope for Caregiver. And then, Gracie, give out the number. If they want to call in, what is the number, Gracie?
The number is 877-655-6755. That's 877-655-6755.
All right, operators.
She could do voiceover work.
She can.
Well,
you've been told that before.
I know. I'd love to do voiceover work. For anyone who would like for me to do voiceover work.
And if you want Gracie to do voivoiceover work, you can call
877-655-6755.
We've added we've added a lot of features. Of course, we podcast the show now, and got a pretty nice following on that. That's caregiverpodcast.com, and it's been quite a journey as the show as well. We've had a lot of great guests and interesting topics. We covered a lot of stuff on this show.
Well, we have, and I think the reason it's done so well is because, you've said this many times, there is a great need for this.
Huge need.
Yeah.
How big a need? It's huge.
A bigly need.
It's a bigly need. It's so huge. The need is massive. Believe me when I tell you, it's so big.
Also, John's a professional.
John is a professional, and that really balances out the show, I think.
I don't know why anyone would. Please, guys, don't know.
It's true.
It's true. I got news for you, psychos. We're getting better. Hey, listen, we have several features that we do on the show for those of you just new to the show, and we literally have stations now across the country, from Seattle to Charlotte, from Minneapolis to West Virginia, just a lot of different folks all over the country that are joining us, and we're so glad that you do. And the folks over there at the Truth Network and out of North Carolina, I want to thank you all as well. 5 years, that's a long time, and it's such an important need. I have such a passion for this. Now, some of the reasons that let me back up. Why is Gracie here with me? Why is that important? Because Gracie is the heart of what so much of what I do. She had a terrible car accident 35 years ago, 80 surgeries later, both legs amputated. She used only one cane to come in here with today, John. That was a big banner moment for her. We were actually arguing about it in the thing. I said, bring both your canes. No, I'm only going to use one. And I said, just take both. You got two.
You know when you're going to lose these. You know that, right?
Every time. And but she walked in here on one cane, and that's a great sign that she's making some real progress. So she's joining with me today, and I appreciate it. I turned the air down. Can you feel the air now?
Yes, feels wonderful.
She starts melting under these lights.
Well, I was going to say, in the 5 years we've been doing this, there is one thing that has been a sticking point of contention every single time, and that is the temperature in the studio.
I've come in here and you were in there nice and cool, and you were wearing a jacket, and I'm in here, sweltering, and I don't know if you're just doing this on purpose or not, but
well, I'm not going to admit to it either.
And God love you. All right, listen, we do a couple different segments during the show, and this one is our caregiver tip of the day. Where did you get that?
I love it.
It's called ta-da sound effects.
Ta-da!
All right. Well, we know Johnny Erickson, ta-da, and she's been on the show before. So anyway, our caregiver tip of the day is brought to you by the folks at AARP of Tennessee, aarp.org/TN. And today I want to go back and to remind you about the Delta Doctrine. The Delta Doctrine. What is the Delta Doctrine? Well, I was flying out of Atlanta one day on Delta because Delta stands for everything leaves through Atlanta. That's what it stands for. And I was flying out of there, and the flight attendant came on and said the thing we all hear, put your, if the mask falls, put yours on first, that kind of stuff, and we've all heard that. We've all heard put your mask on first and so forth. But I thought, what does that really mean for us as caregivers to put our mask on first? What does that look like? And I noticed that they didn't tell you how to open the peanuts or the pretzels, which are surprisingly difficult to open. And they didn't tell you how to use that atomic suction device known as a lavatory. They think we're going to just figure that out.
Well, look, you've watched Star Trek.
They never had one in Star Trek.
Ah, therein lies the joke.
I know. Is that what we're calling it now? A joke? Sure. Okay.
Moving right
so they didn't. They don't tell you these things, but they remind you every time to put your mask on first because it's counterintuitive. We always want to kind of hold our breath and help somebody else who's in need. Well, all that does is put us in greater risk and our loved one in greater risk. I mean, how long can you hold your breath? Now, as I mentioned earlier with Gracie being here, this has been 35 years that she's been hurt. Well, nobody can hold their breath that long. At some point, somebody's going to have to breathe independently of this. You're going to have to see to your own health on this, because I'm not going to be much good to Gracie if I run out of breath or if I pass out. I can't help her. So I've got to learn how to breathe properly before I can help her. And then what does it look like to put on the mask? Well, I came up with 3 things. WWW. Wait, water, walk. Wait. You don't have to just run to action everything. Sometimes it's okay to just bite your tongue and learn to like the taste of blood. Just wait for a minute. Just hold off. Just be cool for a minute. Just never doubt the power of inactivity. I think sometimes we run into a flurry of activity that we just want to start rushing to things and do it, but we don't have to. We just wait. And then water. Drink some water. Drink to think. Hydrate. It gives you a chance to put something in your mouth besides words.
That's a good one.
And
I mean, that's the thing. That's a dual purpose thing. Don't run your mouth about this, guys.
This is a constant problem I'm having.
Yes, it is.
There's a reason you have a radio show.
There's a reason I have a radio show. And then walk. When things get a little bit gnarly, just take a walk. Just 5 minutes. Go out there and just bleed off some of that stress, and let yourself air out a little bit. And it's a way for you to just cool off and decompress, relax a little bit, gather your thoughts, and cool down. That's it. I mean, wait, water, walk. How hard is that to remember? That's the Delta Doctrine for the family caregiver. And you can read more about that in my book, Hope for the Caregiver, which, by the way, for Mother's Day, we put it on sale. The Kindle version, it's like $3 on Amazon. We put it on sale. The publisher put it on sale, and then Amazon took it down even more. I think they're paying people to take it, and so we are just in time for Mother's Day, because I think Mother's Day can be very stressful for a lot of folks in a caregiving situation. Whether you're a mother of a special needs child or whether you've got an aging parent who's sick or whatever, I think it can be a little bit difficult. And so pick it up. Go out there now, get a copy of it. You can get the audiobook of it. You can download it and listen to it right now as you're going back and forth to maybe mom's house or the nursing home or whatever. Don't do it alone. Take a 30-year caregiver with you, okay? Hey, this is Hope for the Caregiver. We got more to go, and your calls. By the way, Gracie, what's the number?
877-655-6755.
Well, there you go. Hey, John, happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary, Peter.
All right.
Happy anniversary, guys.
We'll be right back.
Here's some great news. If you missed the deadline to sign up for health insurance, or if you signed up for a plan you're not happy with, you still have a choice. MediShare is a healthcare sharing program. Hundreds of thousands of Christians are part of this. It can save you a lot. Typical savings for a family is about $500 a month. You can join MediShare anytime. It's easy to call and look into it. There's no pressure at all. And man, what a difference it can make. 855-25-SHARE. That's 855-25-SHARE.
Have you ever struggled to trust God when lousy things happen to you? I'm Gracie Rosenberger, and in 1983, I experienced a horrific car accident leading to 80 surgeries and both legs amputated. I questioned why God allowed something so brutal to happen to me. But over time, my questions changed, and I discovered courage to trust God. That understanding, along with an appreciation for quality prosthetic limbs, led me to establish Standing with Hope. For more than a dozen years, we've been working with the government of Ghana and West Africa, equipping and training local workers to build and maintain quality prosthetic limbs for their own people. On a regular basis, we purchase and ship equipment and supplies, and with the help of inmates in a Tennessee prison, we also recycle parts from donated limbs. All of this is to point others to Christ, the source of my hope and strength. Please visit standingwithhope.com to learn more and participate in lifting others up. That's standingwithhope.com. I'm Gracie, and I am Standing with Hope.
Welcome back to the show, For Caregivers, about caregivers, hosted by a caregiver. I am Peter Rosenberger, bringing you 30 years of experience to help you stay strong and healthy as you take care of someone who is not a We Are family. Happy Mother's Day to all our mothers out there who are serving as caregivers, and all the mothers out there who are being caregived for, the caregivees. And we're grateful to have you. That laugh you hear is my wife, Gracie. She's here with us. Happy Mother's Day, Gracie.
Thank you.
2 sons. 1 grandchild, and 1 yet to come this summer.
I know.
What?
Did I not tell you that?
No.
Yeah, they're gonna. What? I thought you got the press release. We're gonna have another grandson this summer.
Congratulations, guys.
How about that? Well, I don't know how much we had to do with it.
Look, I feel good for you. Okay.
Yeah, listen. It's a wonderful experience. I told Parker, I said, if I'd known how great your kid would have been, I'd been nicer to you.
No, you wouldn't have.
But it's we're very much looking forward to that. And Parker put out a really nice tribute this morning to Gracie on Facebook. It was really quite meaningful. She was crying, and but it was rather nice. You did a remarkable job raising 2 sons with severe disabilities.
I'm glad you think that. I'm so grateful to hear you say that. I'm not sure that Parker and Grayson would agree with that.
Oh, I think they do. I think they look at you as one of the bravest people that they've ever met, and you are.
Grayson was complaining at lunch about, I had to weed the garden to be able to get money to buy Legos.
Well, hey,
it made him who he was. It got him into West Point.
I had to weed the garden, and if that's the worst thing he had to do, he's okay.
I did it with him.
And that makes all the difference.
Exactly.
Hey, one of the things that we do on the show as well, we have a new segment that we started doing called Today's Senior Moment.
I'm sorry.
I know what I'm going to do with it.
I made up the title myself. I sat up all night working on this. And here it is right here. And it's brought to you by our friends at Morning Point Senior Living and Memory Care. And it's morningpoint.com. That's point with an E. That throws a lot of people off, so don't forget the E. The E is important. And so I at the senior moment, today's senior moment, I thought about this a lot, and there are a lot of people who are struggling to immediately have to put somebody into a facility to help them along. Maybe short time, maybe permanent.
Yeah, and it could be a surprise.
They could be downsizing, or it could be going into some type of nursing care facility or whatever. And I was thinking about that. It's disorienting to move a lot for anybody. For the best of us, it's disorienting to move. If we're in a new home, in our new dorm room at college or whatever, it's just very disorienting. But when you're dealing with health issues and when you're dealing with aging issues and so forth, it gets even more. And
it's
so I thought,
disorienting to move from a hospital room to another one.
It is, and you've done that plenty of times, and we've had to pack you up and move you lots of hospital rooms from ICU and so forth. And I thought, okay, let's smooth this process out a little bit. If you see somebody's going to have to move, or if you think that's coming down the road, go ahead and take some pictures of their room. Take some pictures of their room as it is right now, so that you are able to recreate as much as possible, because that will minimize the disorientation when there is a move. And even if you're just downsizing and you're going to go to a residential community, you're not necessarily going to a nursing home or anything like that. Yeah. You just maybe going to a smaller apartment or whatever. It'll reduce the amount of stress that goes along with, I don't even know where I am. I don't know where all my stuff is.
Yeah, and this isn't to say that you need to recreate it perfectly. This is to say, it works better if the dresser is in this corner of the room relative to the bed, or
with
something
this
like
picture
that.
On top of it.
Yeah, with this picture on top. You don't have to be perfect.
And the photographs. I mean, how do they have their photographs? That's an important thing to people. That's important to me, much less somebody that's older that's going. I mean, that's going to help. Anything that's going to be familiar, they're going to relate to immediately.
And so I thought, well, let's go ahead and just take some pictures. How hard is that, to take a few pictures and let people know?
You carry a camera in your pocket.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's got a phone with them. And so take those things and start making a little bit of a kind of a rendering, if you will, of what this new room, I mean, the rugs, the floors, the lamps, everything. Just get a complete, heck, they got 360-degree cameras now. I mean, pictures you could take. You do the whole thing. The bedspread, whatever it is, as much continuity as you can take with you into a new situation, it just makes the transition that much easier. And it's already stressful enough,
I would think it'd be good for it not to be, like John said, a surprise. I'm not sure that it's, surprise! I think it's more like, surprise, not.
Surprise.
Surprise, not.
We got Jim Neighbors here.
Well, I'm just saying.
Surprise. Golly, Sergeant
Surprise.
Carter. Surprise.
Yeah.
Spell surprise, Gracie.
Suprise.
No, it's SOOPR.
Oh, surprise.
Y'all, I'm going to have to come in there, all right?
Surprise. All right, so, that's our today's senior moment, brought to you by the wonderful folks over at Morning Point Senior Living and Memory Care, morningpoint.com. Take a look at what they have to offer there, but take pictures of the home and the bedroom as much as you possibly can let's minimize the transition stress, and with something so simple as a picture. How much does that cost? All right, look, if you want to be on the show, what's the number, Gracie?
877-655-6755. That's 877-655-6755.
Awesome. All right, we'll be right back.
Here's some great news. If you missed the deadline to sign up for health insurance, or if you signed up for a plan you're not happy with, you still have a choice. MediShare is a healthcare sharing program. Hundreds of thousands of Christians are part of this. It can save you a lot. Typical savings for a family is about $500 a month. You can join MediShare anytime. It's easy to call and look into it. There's no pressure at all. And man, what a difference it can make. 855-25-SHARE. That's 855-25-SHARE.
Have you ever struggled to trust God when lousy things happen to you? I'm Gracie Rosenberger, and in 1983, I experienced a horrific car accident leading to 80 surgeries and both legs amputated. I questioned why God allowed something so brutal to happen to me. But over time, my questions changed, and I discovered courage to trust God. That understanding, along with an appreciation for quality prosthetic limbs, led me to establish Standing with Hope. For more than a dozen years, we've been working with the government of Ghana and West Africa, equipping and training local workers to build and maintain quality prosthetic limbs for their own people. On a regular basis, we purchase and ship equipment and supplies, and with the help of inmates in a Tennessee prison, we also recycle parts from donated limbs. All of this is to point others to Christ, the source of my hope and strength. Please visit standingwithhope.com to learn more and participate in lifting others up. That's standingwithhope.com. I'm Gracie, and I am Standing with Hope.
Mama, he's crazy, crazy over me. In my life is where he says he always wants to be.
Oh, man.
Mama, he's crazy.
Mama, he's crazy.
Welcome back to the show, For Caregivers, About Caregivers, hosted by a caregiver. This is Peter Rosenberger. Hey, I'm glad you're with us. If you want to be on the show, Gracie, give out the number.
877-655-6755. And if you don't want to talk to Peter, you can talk to John Butler or me.
All right. So, listen, it is Mother's Day, and Mama, he's crazy, and we're glad you're with us. And I know that it can be a little bit challenging for some right now. There's some different kinds of feelings that come up on a day like today. So for all of you who are struggling with that, we're just glad you're taking a moment to talk with us. This is a place for you. This is a place for you to kind of take a breath for a moment and just, settle yourself down, realize that a show for caregivers. What's that all about? It's hard sometimes for folks who are caring for an aging parent or mother who's going through some serious illness and so forth to get into a celebratory mood. But that's important to do so as well. And so we want to help you with that process of learning to recognize that this person you're caring for, the love that you have, and sometimes the illness covers up all of that, but the love you have is still there. And it's okay for you to walk through that, celebrate that, and talk about it on the show if you want to. We'd be glad to hear you do that. So there's a couple other things. Also, this is our 5th anniversary of the show. 5 years, John. 5 years.
5 years.
5 years.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
It's 5 years, and so we're. I can't believe that we've been doing this for so long, and we're just getting warmed up. Speaking of warmed up, John, it's hot outside.
How hot is it?
It is so hot. I saw a coyote chasing a jackrabbit, and they were both walking. We're here in Nashville, and the rhinestones are melting. It is really quite warm, and so we are.
The rhinestone mine collapsed.
They are. It's a little bit warm. Hey, I periodically we have what I like to call listener mail. Listener mail.
That's the only theme I got, man.
That's great.
And
yeah, you said you love the MASH game, so I'm sorry. I keep using it every chance I get.
And God bless you.
That's great.
But sometimes people ask things that are just, and I get these kinds of questions a lot. So I thought I would deal with them here today in a little section here called Listener Mail, and just practical things that we deal with here at the show. So one of the questions is, where does one find the patience? And I thought that was kind of funny. Patience.
At the hospital?
Yeah, I know. Patience, not patience, to deal with insurance company.
Oh,
Okay?
man.
Because insurance companies can be a little bit challenging to deal with. And so I thought, okay, let's talk about that. And with insurance companies, here's something I learned over the year. Now, let me give you a background of what I've done. Gracie's had over 80 surgeries and at least that same amount in smaller procedures. We've changed insurance companies at least 6 times, and I've never had a gap in coverage with her, and I've never lost an appeal. I've had 2 appeals that we stopped simply because it was just taking a long time. The doctor said, let's go a different direction. But once I got involved with it, it always, we took it to completion and we won. And here's how we did it. I never looked at the insurance company as anything other than what they were. This is a business, and they're in the business to make money. And they have a product they sell, which is peace of mind, that if something wacky happens to you, that you will have financial coverage for this. Now, if you talk with an insurance company and you need them to do something for you, if you go into it, they're not emotional about it, but you are. And so they're not driven by emotional decisions. They're driven by financial decisions. And so when we're in the throes of caregiving, our emotions can run really high and sometimes unchecked. I don't know if you ever had that experience, John. Unchecked emotions.
Oh yeah. Well, that's a thing. Well, and I really enjoy the way you explained that. We can talk about this now in this moment when we're not on the phone with an insurance company, when we're not in mid-crisis. They're not driven by emotions at all.
Not at all.
But you are going to be hindered by your emotional attachment to this situation. It's bad news. It decreases your ability to make a good logical decision. So we need to talk about it now while we're calm.
Exactly. So when you get on the phone with them, remember that these are folks that have a job to do. And you may not like it, and they may indeed be calloused. You may have somebody on there calloused, cold, or they may seem uncaring.
Yeah.
Okay.
So prep yourself for that.
But you don't need them to emote with you. What you need them to do is help facilitate payment of a service, drug, or procedure. Okay, that's the goal, is for them to release funds to cover what you're asking for.
Exactly. And does your emotion get you closer to or farther away from that goal?
Well, and so if you end up hacking them off, you're going the wrong direction. So if you have to, and they may say no, but you can always appeal it. There's appeals. I mean, I've won the appeals, and they're kind of a pain to deal with, but it depends on how motivated you are to get this thing. So if you have to appeal, let your appeal show that granting the appeals is in their best financial interest, not their best emotional. They're not there to advance the nature of humankind. They're there to make $1. And if you help them understand that $1 is what they will make if they grant your appeal, then you got a better shot at this. And let me explain. I remember I had one time that I had Gracie had a wound on her amputated left leg, and it would not heal. And it was a real problem. And she got an infection. She was in the hospital for a very long time. And I called up the insurance company and I said, look, we got her home, and she had this dressing on there. And it wasn't just a normal dressing. It wasn't like, a Band-Aid. It was a dressing on this wound. You know what I'm talking about.
There's a complicated thing that goes on here.
And I told him, I said, I would very much like for a nurse to come over and check on this dressing daily for 2 weeks. Now, if you'll notice the last couple of years, it's all the rage to send people home with basically an IV bag and, their do-it-yourself surgery starter kit. I mean,
I haven't noticed this, but I'm incredibly interested and would like to know more.
It's just, they're sending people home from the hospital with stuff that they would have put them in intensive care 20 years ago.
Oh, wow.
It's just crazy.
Please let me comment on this.
It's just crazy. And so it's one of those things that I was like, okay, I really want a nurse to come over and check on this. And they said, no, it's not in your policy. And I said, okay. I still want one to come over. What do we got to do to advance this? Well, it's not in your policy. And I'm thinking, well, you're not using any different words than you used the first time you told me it wasn't in my policy, so let's see if we go a different direction. And I said, I don't care. Send one anyway. And they said, Mr. Rosenberg, you don't understand. I said, no, you don't understand. You have access to her records. I want you to go back into her records for this year and see how much you all paid when she had an infection last time. And then you weigh it out against the price of sending a nurse over here for 2 weeks. And then call me back. And I hung up. I really did. I hung up on him. And 90 minutes later, I got a call back. And they said, Mr. Rosenberger, we've decided that we're going to send a nurse over. Because in their infinite mathematic wisdom, John, and you know math don't lie, they said $1,000 is cheaper than $47,000. And I won the appeal. But I didn't get the appeal because I got all teary and everything else. I want it with just good math.
Yeah, they don't. It's unfortunate. Well, or it just is that they're not interested in how much pain Gracie's in.
No, and you know what? I get that. I don't take it personally because that's not their world.
Yeah,
and so that's the thing is I have to meet them where they are, and where they are is they're in a business. Now, there is one thing you can do that they are doing. A lot of insurance companies are doing this, and that's ask for a case manager. Ask for a case manager. And because if they assign a case manager, and it's usually an RN, then you've got somebody within the insurance company that can help work with you. And they can get to know your case, and then they can explain it medically to their superiors. And then all of a sudden, you've built up a set of allies within the case, and that's a good thing, because now you're kind of you're building up a team of support, and you're getting a lot of good cooperation from folks, and it's that helped me a lot with Gracie. I had a guy that was with one of the insurance companies that we had for many years, and he and I had regular meetings. I mean, every 2 weeks, that we were going over stuff and just. Okay, how's this looking? What's going on here? So forth. And it's amazing how streamlined things became once we had that person. It was really extraordinary. So that's a question that we get a lot. So I hope that is very helpful to folks. Let me see if we got another one here, John. Do you want to reach in out of the bowl and pull out another one? Oh, here's one. Here's one, John. Hang on just a second. It's let's see. Would you do it again? Would you do it again as a caregiver? That's 32 years, 80-plus surgeries.
Is that asking you?
That's asking me as a caregiver, would I do it again? And this is from somebody that was struggling with this. So I said, well, you know what? Here's what I say. Here's what I say.
Be honest.
As caregivers, we live with enough reality. We don't need to worry about hypothetical, okay? Because I can't answer the question with any kind of definitive math of saying, yes, I will do it again, and next week I'm setting up an appointment to go on time travel to go back and do it again, kind of thing. I mean, that's ridiculous. So let's stay with the reality of where we are as caregivers as opposed to being reflective of would we do it again. I think that's a pointless argument. You're tracking with me?
I do, and I think that let me ask this. Let me see if this is more in line with what the question is. Do you regret doing it?
Now that is a better question, and I do not. I do not regret. I regret the failures I've made.
Oh, of course.
The way.
I mean, we can regret individual things all the time, but do you regret taking this journey?
And I think here's where I've kind of landed on this. I love the way I play the piano now. I love the way I write. I love being able to do this show. I love to be able to see things that I wouldn't see, to notice and value beauty that I wouldn't. I enjoy Gracie infinitely more now than I ever have before. And so I wouldn't have that had I not gone through all this to give it the texture that I have in my life. And I think that we sometimes feel so bad along the journey that we just don't want to feel bad But there was that defining point for me, and this show was a big part of it for me, when I realized the goal was not to feel better. The goal was to be better. And you can be better in this journey. Your faith can grow and become stronger. The things that you value in your life can become more meaningful to you. Your relationships can become more significant. You know, when you sing a hymn. This morning I was playing at church, and I was just playing a couple of hymns. One of them was my favorite hymn growing up. I remember this when I was just a little boy hearing this hymn, and just one of my favorite hymns. And I just kind of slowed it down and played it very reflectively. And it's you know the tune, Gracie, that it goes, he keeps me singing. There's within my heart a melody. And it would, you know, and I love the way I'm able to play that now, because I'm reflecting on the journey we have. Jesus, 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 sweetest name I know. You want to sing that? Well, do you know the lyrics?
Fills my every longing, keeps me singing as I go.
And see, that's the voice I get to hear all the time. That's the voice. I love that voice.
I think you answered the question. Do you regret it?
Do I regret it? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. The only thing I regret are my own poor choices that I've made. But do I regret this? Not hardly.
I must, as a mother and your wife, mention one thing, since the two of you are men. That
thanks for noticing.
Well, you know, you are, as far as you know. Okay, so it also I get asked that question a lot about all of the things that I've been through. It's really a similar question. Would I do it all over again? Would I get back in the car? No, I wouldn't do it, knowing what I know now. But if I was, like you said, I had a time travel machine, yeah, I would want somebody to say, don't get in the car sleepy. I mean, duh. I wouldn't do it. But I'm so grateful for what I have learned through the journey, and I would not trade all that I have learned and how I've grown for anything.
I think that's a good note to end on. Hey, this is Hope for the Caregiver. This is the nation's #1 show for the family caregiver. We're glad you're with us. 5 years, John. 5 years. Great job. And there's more to come. We'll be right back.
Here's some great news. If you missed the deadline to sign up for health insurance, or if you signed up for a plan you're not happy with, you still have a choice. MediShare is a healthcare sharing program. Hundreds of thousands of Christians are part of this. It can save you a lot. Typical savings for a family is about $500 a month. You can join MediShare anytime. It's easy to call and look into it. There's no pressure at all. And man, what a difference it can make. 855-25-SHARE. That's 855-25-SHARE.
Have you ever struggled to trust God when lousy things happen to you? I'm Gracie Rosenberger, and in 1983, I experienced a horrific car accident leading to 80 surgeries and both legs amputated. I questioned why God allowed something so brutal to happen to me, but over time, my questions changed, and I discovered courage to trust God. That understanding, along with an appreciation for quality prosthetic limbs, led me to establish Standing with Hope. For more than a dozen years, we've been working with the government of Ghana and West Africa, equipping and training local workers to build and maintain quality prosthetic limbs for their own people. On a regular basis, we purchase and ship equipment and supplies, and with the help of inmates in a Tennessee prison, we also recycle parts from donated limbs. All of this is to point others to Christ, the source of my hope and strength. Please visit standingwithhope.com to learn more and participate in lifting others up. That's standingwithhope.com. I'm Gracie, and I am Standing with Hope.
You had to be a big shot, didn't you? You had to open up your mouth. You had to be a big shot, didn't you? All your friends were so knocked out. You had to have the last word.
I'm trying to think of something clever to say about that. I think, well...
Don't strain yourself, bud.
Welcome back to the show For Caregivers, about caregivers, hosted by a caregiver. This is Peter Rosenberg. I'm so glad you're with us. 800... wait, what's the number, Gracie? You get to read the number out.
Well, I got to turn my mic on first. 877-655-6755 and give us a call.
All right, listen. Hey, I want to tell you something real quick, John, that happened. We sent out, and it really surprised me. We had a large pallet that left the prison the other day.
I'm going to let that hang in the ether there.
A large pallet. One of the things we do at Core Civic facility over here in Nashville, there's a local prison where inmates volunteer to help us recycle prosthetic limbs, and we collect them from all over the country, and then they disassemble them, and we inventory them, and then we pack them up, and we send them over to West Africa, to the West African country of Ghana. And I was seeing a picture this week of a young man who was walking on an above-knee leg, and his church brought him over there. And the clinic director, Moses, sent me a video of him walking, and it was really spectacular on some of the parts that we send over there. Now, we'll make a custom-fit socket over there. That's the part that the limb fits into. You can't recycle that. That's custom-made.
Yeah, everybody's got a different shaped leg.
Right, and so we will buy the materials to make that. But a lot of these things can be recycled. And this pallet went out to, and I was thinking it was going to be about 400 or 500 pounds, to do it. It was like 800 pounds of stuff.
Good night.
And we had just hundreds of feet and knees and all kinds of stuff. We've really been collecting a lot of prosthetic parts. So, Gracie, this is your vision after losing both of your legs. You wanted to go out and help your fellow amputees, and this was a large pallet that
I
went
know.
out.
I was very grateful, though.
And we do this several times a year, but it's just amazing me. These legs just keep pouring in from around the country, and
thank you to all those
you.
legs, people that send in legs and everything in.
Well, and we could use a few arms. We don't do arms a lot, but we'll do them. But Standing with Hope, this is one of the two program areas we have. We have the prosthetic limb ministry, and then we have the family caregiver outreach, which this show is a part of, and it's all about caring for the wounded and those who care for them. And we're planning on going back over to Ghana at the end of this summer. Towards the end of July is the tentative goal, if we can get all your stuff together there, Gracie, because you've got a couple of hoops you got to jump through. But she wants to go back, because she hasn't been over there in a long time because of some serious health issues. We about lost you a couple of times. You're looking forward to getting back over there.
Oh.
They're all waiting for you.
I cannot wait. I mean, they've called 3 times saying, Mrs. Gracie, you must come back now. And I want to come back because...
Sound like a Bond villain.
Let me tell you something. I hate sweating and I hate bugs, and you got all of that in spades over there. But when you get to share Jesus with a human being that has no possibility of either using their arms or having legs versus crawling or eating like a dog... It is.
It's quite moving.
Worth any amount of sweat or any amount of bugs. It
puts the sweat and bugs in perspective, because you are getting to participate in something that's extraordinary. And we've been doing this for some time. I'd like for you to go out and take a look at standingwithhope.com today and just take a look at it. See what we're doing. See what we've been doing. See how you can participate in it. And but I love the whole recycling of prosthetic limbs. I mean, you just don't think about that as a recycling opportunity, but it is. And and there were like 600 prosthetic socks on this pallet. Those are important to wear. That you have to wear them over the liners and so forth. It helps to fit, because your limb will change size throughout the day sometimes.
Yeah.
And so you put a sock on to keep it secure. And then there were I don't know if I told you this, Gracie, but there were 300 liners.
Wow.
And
I mean, that's worth more than what they make in a year.
Oh, far more.
Yeah.
These are extraordinary things that have come in from around the country. We're shipping them over there so that it can be a source of help to give people the gift that keeps on walking. So, hey, the show has flown by, our 5th anniversary show. John, thank you.
Woohoo!
Thank you.
Let's do 5 more.
Hey, absolutely.
All right, Gracie, thank you for being here today. If you want to see more about what we're doing, if you want to participate in it, if you just want to get some stuff from the podcast, the books, the music, whatever you want, it's from us. It's all out there at standingwithhope.com. and we hope you'll take advantage of it. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you next week. Lots more stuff coming, lots more guests, and let's get strong together as caregivers. Healthy caregivers make better caregivers. We'll see you next week.